Subscribe, share, comment, and give this video a thumbs up.
Hey, friend.
Hey, how are we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to hear what you got some stuff to tell me. I'm excited to
I do.
hear about it.
So we're going to talk about blended families, which is both of us have blended
Right.
families.
Yep.
So yeah, I looked up some statistics and we'll just get into it.
Awesome.
So the first one is about 16% of US families are blended families. It says this is defined by the Census Bureau as households with a step parent, step siblings, or half siblings.
And that's 60% you said?
16%.
Oh, I was like,
yeah. But 1/3 of all adults in the US have some kind of step relationship in their family. So that is true, because even if you don't at home,
right.
you may have an aunt who has stepchildren, or you know what I mean? So,
or like before I had stepkids, I've always had a stepmom.
okay.
Right.
I did not, but my parents were both divorced and remarried. So I do have, all of my siblings are half except for one. So my mom had 3 kids from a previous, my dad had 2, and then they had 2 of us together. So so even looking back then, you know what I mean? It's not just in today's society. I think a lot more today. It's very common. But and then 1,300 new step families are created every single day in the US. Every day, 1,300 step families. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Wow.
And then going back to our video before this one about women, 63% of women in remarriages are part of blended families. I don't know why the women get a big name like that, but
right? Yeah. Because I always kind of feel like my idea is it's not that way.
Right. Yeah, so it's a lot. 40% of married couples with children in the US are part of a blended family. 40%. So or they form a blended family. Sorry. So that makes sense. I mean, you have a blended family.
And you do?
I do. So that goes back to our divorces.
Right. Yeah, I think. And you're different in the way you don't actually have stepchildren.
Right. I don't have stepchildren. My children had a stepmother. Now she had a previous child from her previous marriage, and then she had a son with my ex-husband. And I'm very close to her children. So they're not my stepchildren technically, but they are kind of blended into our family.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's so nice. That is so nice, because that's definitely not even one where you would be expected to be involved in.
Right.
There would be nothing odd about you not doing that. And so that's really, really awesome, because it's your kids' siblings.
Yes. Yeah, and actually just recently, we went out of town and we made sure to see them. And her son asked me, would you be my other mom? And I said, of course, of course.
Oh, see, that is so nice.
Yeah.
That's so helpful to, like I said, for your kids. It makes a difference. I think it makes a difference in their relationship. And especially when it's mom, you know, because I don't know how it's important for everybody to get along, in my opinion. But moms tend to be that glue.
For sure.
So, you know, by you having a relationship with them makes it so much easier for your kids to have a relationship with them. And it's really helpful. I think because of divorce being so big, that blending it needs to be very important too. That needs to be very, you know, I've said that, sorry, that being a stepmom is the hardest thing I've ever done. And I think in a lot of ways, the reason for that is because it's so important to, you know, to do your best, to try your hardest and not give up. You can't give up.
No.
So, and it's different whenever you are, you know, like me and my kids have been together their whole lives. My stepkids have been with their dad their whole lives, you know, and you're different. It's different things. So a lot of things really can throw everybody off. Very small things can, you know, just like for us with Christmas, we're like, what are we going to do? Because it didn't seem fair to take on all of my traditions.
Right.
Nor take on all of his traditions. Somebody's being, you know, going left out somehow that way, right? So we just started all new everything.
I think that's a great thing.
We celebrate a Hawaiian Christmas. It was totally different than anything that any of our kids had done. And they really didn't like it at first, none of them. Because they want what they're used to.
Right, right.
And we couldn't it wasn't possible to give everybody that. So, and now everybody really likes it. You know, we made it fun. So that's just a small example of what you need to try to do every day. And it's hard when you're an adult and you're set in your own ways.
I think too, a lot of times, see, I'm not a step parent either. I want to put that out there. I don't have stepchildren, but for me as my kids' mother, I mean, they're adults now, but when they were kids and she came into the picture, I think a lot of people don't want the step parent as involved. And so that causes a lot of tension and issues that for the kids that don't need to be. For me, I was the opposite. I thought it was wonderful that this woman could come in and love my children the way she did with them not even being hers, that she treated my children the same way she treated hers. That was big for me. And I remember when my son was little and he came home and he said, I want to buy her a mom necklace for Christmas. And I said, yeah, of course, son. And we went and got it. And she was so shocked, but that was important to him. And I mean, and it meant the world to her, you know. I think a lot of times the tension is, you know, the parents and the jealousy and really we need to put our kids first, you know, and not saying all step parents are wonderful. I'm not
Right.
saying that because I know that
Right.
there are some evil step parents, but I think a lot of the issues in blended families are the parents.
No, I 100% agree. You know, I was just going to say, so what that took was because I can imagine, you know, as a mother, that is going to be kind of hard, right?
Right.
It is going to be kind of hard. But if you take yourself out of that but think about it like this. Would you rather your son come home from there and say, I don't want to go back. She's mean. I hate her. I don't want to be at dad's anymore. That has to be hard. You know, I'm sorry. I think some people actually like that. It's their own insecurity. But for him to say that, you can say to yourself, okay, I feel good about my son being there. If he feels that way about her, that he wants to get her a mom necklace, then you don't have to feel badly about him being there. You can feel good about it.
And that is the thing. Going back a little bit, my kids didn't get to see their dad for a while. He had to go through anger management and all of that because of the abuse. Now, when she came into the picture, I knew, and they were allowed to go back. I knew they were safe with her. You know what I
Right.
mean? I knew I could breathe while they're gone. And for any mother will tell you that is divorced and their kids have to go to dad's. It doesn't matter how wonderful the father is. It is so hard to be away from your kids every other weekend.
Right.
You know, when they're little. It is. I don't care. It is so hard. So it was such a good thing. And, you know, over the years, then her and I became very good friends. And even when her and him broke up, we stayed in contact and our families are close, hers and mine, which is wonderful for our kids again.
Right. And that's where you call it, you know, for me, my kids were older when I got divorced. They never really did. A couple of times they went for a weekend or whatever. But not much because they were already in high school and you know, it wasn't that kind of thing. They had jobs and sports and, you know, they were busy. And the first two, my ex-husband got married twice. He's been married 3 times since we got divorced, but the first two, they weren't necessarily even trying to get along with my kids, and it just wasn't that big of a deal, you know? But the wife that he has now, they're very close to. I'm very close to her. She's absolutely part of our family.
And she's absolutely wonderful. I love her.
She is. She's amazing. I could not. I call her my sister wife.
For real. Yes. I call her my baby mama.
See, I think that is so good because like I said, the other two, it wasn't that I was trying to stop it. It just really wasn't a thing. And at their ages, it wasn't a big deal. But I love the relationship that my kids have with their stepmom. I absolutely love it. I love my relationship with her. And I was never trying to be against it. I could see me being concerned about my kids. That was a lot of probably why I stayed married as long as I did too. I wasn't going to be able to handle weekends.
Right.
Where I didn't know what was going on with my kids.
Hard.
That's got to be the hardest thing. That's what I was pretty sure I could not do. But you know, not getting along. You know I hear stories about people are just no way. They don't want their kids to like them. They're not going to like them.
Nope.
And to me, the whole thing is you have to love your kids more than you dislike those people.
Amen. It really comes down to the kids. I also want to say too, regarding the blended families, I don't have stepchildren, but I did want to just talk briefly about when I met my husband. He didn't have
Right.
children. We were
Right.
young. And his family welcomed me in with open arms. And I will never forget, I had, like you spoke about in one of our other videos, a really beat down car coming from nothing, you know? And he surprised me after a month of dating with a new car. And I remember my mom saying, oh my gosh, if his mother finds out, she is going to lose her shit. And I had to go to his house, and she comes running out that she just could not wait to smell the new car smell. And she was so excited for me. And they took my kids in as their grandchildren right away. It wasn't, these are my step grandchildren. These are, no. And I see that a lot in you. All of your grandchildren are your grandchildren. I wouldn't even know, honestly. And we're close.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, his family, all of his family has taken my kids in like that. And then my kids are obviously a lot older now. They're all adults. And my two older kids changed their last name to my husband's a couple of years ago. And I remember sending the text out to his brothers, my husband's brothers. And I said, you know, they're finally your last name. And one of his brothers said, they've always been, you know, like that just meant so much to me.
Right. Right.
But unfortunately, not everybody gets all of the good with, you know, there is a lot of rough roads with blending families too. I think it takes a lot of work and a lot of trust and earning trust.
And adults behaving like adults. See what you have to say. So for me, I think, you know, my husband's wife passed away. That's a very different situation than a lot of people have. I know that some people, you know, the ex, you know, there's problems.
Right.
You know, and I hate to say it that way. It sounds like, I'm like, well, at least I don't have that. No, I mean, I think it's horrible for my stepkids who have lost their mother, their father to have lost his wife. I think that's horrible, horrible. But I don't have that. And I know my ex-husband has never been somebody that was really all that hard to get along with. Again, the kids were much older, so that was really big.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, my husband and my ex-husband actually text each other. They chat with each other. We actually have gone on trips with them. They're our friends.
I've seen it firsthand. They're buddies. Right? Yes, they are.
We hang out together.
Yeah.
And that part, that makes it that makes it easier to do than, say, if there was hassling.
Right.
But I just wouldn't hassle. I wouldn't. You know, like my ex-husband had a couple wives that really had a big problem with me, which was really kind of wild. Like I was not part of their life at all. Wasn't trying to be, nothing. But it was not that big of a deal. I just ignored it. Everybody ignored it. But you have to be adults. And I always think about it like this. You know, the same way that I said before, you know, being in a bad marriage, I was already in it. That's what was happening. I was committed to it. And for children, I was committed to the family.
Yeah.
So whenever you're doing that, it's about your kids. These are decisions that you made yourself. As an adult, you chose to have children with a certain person. And then that's what you need to do from here on out, whether you're in the marriage or you're out of the marriage. This isn't about you anymore. You have to think your kids didn't ask for all this.
Right.
They didn't ask to go and stay with dad and somebody else. what they don't need is people, mom saying, don't be nice to her. I don't want her around. It's not about you. It's about the child. And for everybody to get along can only be the best thing. That's all there is to it.
For everybody.
Yeah. I mean, because I always, kids have to have so much tension put on them for their parents to fight, then get divorced. Then now we got other people here. We're all gonna fight. I mean, it just doesn't do any good. Just because I have a great situation right now, even if it was not great, I would refuse to make it horrible.
Right. My kid's stepmom's a lot younger than me, and we were young when we first met, obviously, but she had needed to go to the hospital, and I said, I'll take you. And so I picked her up and I took her to emergency, and they had given her some pain meds and an IV, and they said, you can't drive. You have to make sure you have a ride. And she said, yeah, my fiance's ex-wife's in the waiting room. And the nurse said, what? And she said, yeah, my fiance's ex-wife brought me. She's in the waiting room. That nurse came out because she did not believe her that I was the ex-wife and brought her to the hospital. And I know there's a lot of situations that doesn't work, but I think it can always work because you know what? It worked for you. It worked for me. We put the work in. We decided we knew we wanted to get along. And yeah, we got lucky. Our kids' stepmoms are amazing. You know what I mean? But even if they're not at first, you can make your relationship that way for the kids. You can love your kids enough. And trust me, she's not taking your place. Never.
Right.
Never.
And like I said,
or for men too.
Right.
For men, we made the comment earlier about moms not wanting their kids to go for weekends. There's dads too,
right.
So for men too, it's so much easier to just get along.
Right. And be happy that person is a positive, that person's going to be in your kid's life. They just are. Why make it any worse on everybody?
Right.
On your kids. Like I said, you got to love them more than you dislike other people. You just cannot. It's not okay to make them feel horrible about everything.
No.
To not want to share with their own mother. And, once mom gives the approval, then it really does make a big difference for everybody.
It really does. It really does.
And the stepmom that doesn't want to handle real mom, again, think about it. You got to think I love this child. I love this child's father. I have got to be respectful to this child's mother.
Right.
If nothing else, be respectful. That is not going to hurt. And we've talked about this before. You only make yourself miserable whenever you insist on being miserable.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, we insist on it. We want to be. We won't have it any other way. But when it comes to your kids, please, I beg of people, have a better situation for them. And it'll be better for you.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not as likable as Jackie and I, I'm just kidding.
We can't all be there. We can't be everybody's. Right.
No, but really, it really is. And even with like going bigger into blended families, like grandparents, step grandparents, and aunt and uncles. And I mean, I know in my family, on my side and my husband's side, we do have nieces and nephews that are step or half, or
Mhm.
we don't consider that. They are our nephews and nieces. They are treated the same way as all of them. We love them all the same. And I just think that that should be the norm. Like, people will tell me, "Oh yeah, I have, 5 brothers, 2 are step brothers, 1." What? You have 5 brothers. I don't
Right.
understand where that, you know what I mean? Because that has actually happened many times in my life where they're like, "Well, I have 1 brother and 1 step brother, or 1 brother and 1 half brother." No, you just have 2 brothers. And I think
Right.
that needs to be the norm.
No, that's so true. And that's funny that you say that. My son actually has stepkids, and nobody he knows he's not their dad. They have a dad. Um, but I chuckle to myself because he calls him son all the time. Just in, you know, they're his sons.
Right.
And this is, that goes along with, like, my stepkids. I'm not their mom, but they're my kids. And that
Yes.
doesn't make sense to some people, but it does. Okay. I understand nobody takes the place of mom. You don't do that. And I totally am not trying to do that,
Right.
but you're still my kids. And that's the way I see my son behaving, which I'm super proud of. Those are his sons. And what's really nice is even their grandmother on their dad's mother adores my son.
That's
And
wonderful.
that can't be easy, or I was kind of surprised. Knowing him, it's not surprising, but yet they want what's best for their grandkids, period, whatever that is. And my son is wonderful with them. They adore him. My son's stepkids are not my step grandsons. They're my
Right.
grandson.
And that's what I was saying. Like, I know you, I know your family. Your grandkids are just your grandkids. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
really, they're not. You've never said, "Oh, this is my step grandson." No, they're just your grandchildren, and you treat them all wonderfully.
No, because honestly, yeah, I have 3. Technically, I have 3 step grandsons. 2 of my grandsons are my son's stepsons. My stepdaughter has a son, and another stepdaughter of mine has 3 daughters. Those are my step granddaughters. Those are my granddaughters.
Right. That's what I was saying. Like, with you, you would never know because you truly treat them all the same. And that is how it should be. That is how my mother-in-law treated my kids from day one.
Right. See, that was wonderful that you had that experience too, that your kids were so accepted.
Yeah.
That's definitely very yeah, and it's fun. I'll run into, or I'll see somebody in my family, and they'll tell me about how they just saw my granddaughters that I don't even know the relation at that point, right? They never say, "Oh, I saw your husband's granddaughters," or "I
Right.
saw your stepdaughter's kid." "Oh, I saw your granddaughters," and I love that. I love it. And I just can't. And even even our kids, my daughter's like talking about her sisters and that kind of stuff. She doesn't actually have any natural sisters.
Right.
you know
No, but I do. I love that. And I know it's not easy and not every situation is going to be like ours. You know, I know that. But I just think that anything can work. Anything can be worked out. And I think that it is so important, no matter how old your kids are, if they're small, if they're not small, it is good to put differences aside and put them first always.
Right.
And you
Right.
know what? And in the end, you might actually really enjoy it. Like us, we ended up getting very, very good friends out of it.
Right. That's what I said. You know what? Do something for your kids and you're going to end up doing something for yourself in the long run.
Yes.
And it takes a load off. It has to. Like I said, no mother wants to think that their child, no matter what age they are in an uncomfortable situation. And so you should never try to make it worse for them, at least.
Yeah.
That's my opinion is, no matter what, make it about the kids, period. Right then, you can't go wrong if you literally have your kids' best interests, your grandkids' best interests. If you have it that way, then you can't really go wrong.
Right. I agree.
And you have to do that. To me, that is a must.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Me too. Well, with that, should we see them on the next one?
Yep. I think we've run our mouths about enough, huh?
All right. See you later, friend.
Bye. Till next time.